thought of playing a basketball game this soon was too much to comprehend. So instead of hearing the raucous cheers of the crowd later tonight in a meeting with their crosstown rivals, the Clippers, there is simply silence inside these walls and an emptiness which mirrors what we all continue to feel. This is TNT NBA Tip-Off presented by Auto Trader, coming to you from Staples Center here in Los Angeles. I'm Ernie Johnson along with Shaquille O'Neal, Kenny the Jet Smith, Charles Barkley, Dwayne Wade. I'll be honest, this is going to be a hard show because we feel just like y'all do. And we are in the process of trying to figure this whole thing out just like you. And I think that over the next hour, as we hear from these guys, and Reggie Miller, Jerry West is going to be here, hopefully it will help you process this. And honestly, I think for us it's going to be therapeutic too. Nobody's on the clock. You can take your time. We're not talking in sound bites. Whatever's on your heart, that's in play. Shaq, you're the first guy I thought of when I heard this news the other day. Of course, I talked to you and Charles and Kenny later that afternoon, but then I saw that you had gotten a text from Kobe that morning, or Sharif had gotten one. How have you been over the last 48 hours, man?
Well, as you know, it's already been the last couple months been really tough. Lost my little sister. Haven't been sleeping. Haven't been doing the normal things I usually do. I work, we laugh, we kid, we joke. When I get back home and look at reality and say she's gone, it just hurts. So the other day I'm downstairs working out with my son and crying, and he shows me his phone. And I snapped at him. I said, man, get that out of my face. Just get it away from me. You know, we live in a world where anything could be photoshopped, anything could be hoaxed. I didn't want to believe it. And then I got the call from you, Charles, Kenny, everybody called me. And then we found out it was confirmed. And haven't felt the pain that sharp in a while. 47 years old, lost two grandmothers, lost a Sarge, lost my sister, and now I lost a little brother. Our names will be attached together for what we did. People always ask about our relationship, and I tell them it's just like me and Charles. You got two strong-minded people that are going to get it done their way. We're going to say certain things. The respect will never be lost. But when it comes to be inside the lines and win, that's what me and him, that's what we did. That's what me and Charles, that's what we do. It was sort of like a triple stabbing to the heart, because after you cry and wonder about that, then I get back on the internet, Rick Fox is on the plane. So now I'm sick even more. I'm calling Rick, he's not answering. So now I'm like, what's going on? And then the final blow, his lovely daughter was with him on the helicopter. You know, every time I saw his lovely wife and his kids, same thing I do with Kenny's kids and D-Wade's kids. Hi, my name is Uncle Shaq. I don't know if they know me as a basketball player. It doesn't matter. Hi, I'm Uncle Shaq. I try to make him laugh. And he would do the same thing. Sharif called me devastated and said, Kobe, just text me to check and see how he's doing. And he used to do that from time to time. You know, it just makes me think that in life, sometimes instead of holding back certain things, we should just do
D. Wade.
Hold on, I'm not finished.
Okay, go.
We up here, we work a lot. And I think a lot of times we take stuff for granted. Like, I don't talk to you guys as much as I need to. The fact that we're not going to be able to joke at his Hall of Fame ceremony. We're not going to be able to say, hi, I got 5, you got 4. The fact that we're not going to be able to say, if we would stay together, we could have got 10. Those are the things that you can't get back. And with the loss of my father, my sister, and my thing, that's the only thing I wish I could just say something to him again. Last time I talked to him was when we were here and I asked him to get 50 and he got 60. It's the last time I spoke to him. And I just wish I could have, so it definitely changes me. I have to, because I work a lot. You guys know what I do. I work probably more than the average guy, but I just really have to now just take time and just call and say, I love you. Rick Fox finally called me and said, man, I love you. B. Shaw called me. So I'm going to try to do a better job of just reaching out and just talking to the people rather than always procrastinating, because you never know. Life is too short. I could never imagine nothing like this. I was thinking the other day, I've never seen anything like this. All the basketball idols that I grew up, I see them. They're old. Like, I used to be at home when you came to interview me, Ernie. I used to watch the great mile round and rebound. Now I'm working with him. I used to want to be Dr. J. He used to live next door to my mother in Orlando. My father used to tell me about the 3 great big men. I met them. I seen them. And the fact that we lost probably the world's greatest Laker, world's greatest basketball player, is just, listen, people are going to say, take your time and get better, but it's going to be hard for me. I already don't sleep anyway, so, but I'll figure it out. My condolence goes out to his family, his mom, his dad, his sisters, the other families, everybody involved. Laker organization, I talked to Jeannie and Linda, and people here are hurting, especially in this organization. Some people have to get treatment, and some people just don't understand, because it hit all of us out of nowhere. I didn't want to believe it. I said to myself, I hope some butt face made this up, and it's not true. I didn't want to believe it. But then after getting all the calls, and then you finally feel was concerned, it just, my spirit just left my body. I just wish I could be able to say one last thing to the people that we lost, because once you're gone forever, and we should never take stuff like that for granted.
D. Wade, when did you first meet him?
First time I met him was my rookie season in the NBA. I've been my 3 favorite players is Michael Jordan, Allen Iverson, and Kobe Bryant. 10 games into my rookie season, we played the Lakers here on this court. Shaq, Karl Malone, Gary Payton, and Kobe Bryant. I told Kobe the story in 2016 at the Carmelo to host a thank you dinner for him. And I told him in that game, in the 4th quarter, I got my opportunity to guard him for the first time. And it was in transition, and I was scared as hell. And I remember thinking to myself, you watched him play over and over, you know his move. And I just guessed right, and I ripped him. And I remember thinking, this don't matter if I don't finish this basket. And I came down, I hit the floater, and I just thought to myself, I cannot believe what just happened. I'm calling all my boys back at the crib and let them know that I just ripped Kobe Bryant. And that was my first opportunity. He don't remember that moment because it wasn't a big moment, but for me, it meant the world. It meant the world that I got a chance to play against one of my idols. I got a chance to have a moment against one of my idols. And it just went from there. And the next year, Shaq got traded to Miami. And right away, Kobe and myself was pinned against each other. And I'm like, no, this is one of my favorite players. But I understood, the business understood what we was out for. We was out for championships. And every time we played each other, I had to act like I didn't. Elbows, he falls, don't help him up. You know, all these things I had to get used to, and that was hard. Because I grew up wanting to be like this, wanting to be like him. And fortunate enough for me that I've had the opportunity over the years. 2008 came and I got a chance to play in the Olympics. And I remember the first day that I really had a real conversation with Kobe. It was the day before the first Olympic practice. 6:30 in the morning, my trainer, Tim Grover, gets me up and said, hey, we got to go get our work in before we get there, before you guys get to practice. And I go to the weight room, and there's only one other person in the weight room, and it's Kobe Bryant. And Kobe's on the opposite end, I'm on the opposite end. We're not really saying much to each other, we're just getting our work in. And towards the end of the workout, it was a drill that Tim made us do, that you had to get in a push-up position and hold yourself and see how long you can hold yourself. And he pinned me and Kobe right next to each other to see who can hold each other the longest. His competitive drive, my competitive drive, it was the longest I've ever held myself up. And after we got done doing 3 sets of that, Kobe stood up and said, you just like me. Tim, why you didn't tell me this was just like me? And from that moment on, I've had his respect. And for me, as a young kid, coming into this league, it was one person that I wanted the respect from. It was one person I wanted to look at me as his equal and look at me eye to eye, and it was Kobe Bryant. So getting this news the other day, I think I've been in shock for 2 days, and this is the first moment where it actually feels real. My body right now I'm shaking, I'm numb. But I just want to talk to the people out there, the fans out there. I went to the gym this morning and I just wanted to be around people. And I saw people in the gym that didn't even want to be there, but they was at the gym. And I saw people with Kobe gear on, with Kobe shoes on, Laker gear on. I saw people working out, but they really was just staring off in the days. But I just want to let them know that it's okay to feel whichever way you're feeling right now. It's okay to be hurt. It's okay to cry. It's okay to show emotion. It's okay to have laughter. It's okay to get around people and talk about the moments that you've shared with Kobe Bryant. It's okay to find that community right now, to get around a group of individuals, to just talk about moments and talk about memories, because that's all we've been doing in my house for the last 2 days.
Not only is it okay, I'd encourage it. Kenny, when I called you the other day, and this speaks to, because you live out here, and this speaks to how much you knew about Kobe, the family man, and Kobe post-basketball, and his emphasis on watching Gigi play ball, because things were still coming in. No one was sure exactly what had happened, aside from the fact that the chopper had crashed. And you said to me that day, I'll guarantee you that he was on his way to Mamba for basketball that day.
Yeah. You know, obviously the interaction at Shaq and D Wade is a lot more than probably Chuck and myself. Mm-hmm. But we have interactions. But for me, living in Los Angeles, I have an AAU program, Aim High. We practice at the Mamba Center. So I'm in the Mamba Center 12 times a month. We play every other weekend at the Mamba Center. The hill that the fatality with he and the other passengers is the hill that we run up. My son KJ Malloy, we run up that hill. They run, I jog, and up that hill to get in shape. It's the same hill. So every side, to me, when I heard it, I was devastated when my daughter Kayla called me and told me, because I first thing I thought of was him as a family man, because that's what I'm seeing. I didn't think Lakers, honestly. I didn't think basketball. I was like, this guy's going to the Mamba Center because there's a tournament there this weekend that I know about. Yeah. And every soccer mom, every soccer dad could understand that relationship that he's doing. Our carpool is a minivan, his was a helicopter. And he's on his way to play. And not only that, he's on his way to coach, which is another responsibility. Here's a guy who, it was all about Kobe for all of his life. And we were seeing a transition that he was putting his family and his daughters up front. You know, so when we saw the pictures of Gigi, we knew her because he was putting them up front because they had been in the background so long. So it just, as a dad and as a family man, that's my first, and my first reaction was what was Vanessa thinking and possibly doing, because that is the routine that every soccer dad, soccer mom does. Saturday, Sunday, you drive and you carpool to these tournaments, and you're only doing it not to hope that your daughter or your son is going to be in the NBA, or you're doing it with the hope that you have a memory with your kids. You think about this, he bought a gymnasium an hour and a half from where he lives. You think Kobe Bryant needs to buy a gymnasium in Thousand Oaks? No. To make money? No. You think Kobe Bryant needs to have a tournament for girls called the Mamba Series? No. He's doing it to spend moments with his daughter. And then he takes on the responsibility of all of those other kids. Because as we soccer dads, and Shaq knows, D-Wade, you know, now your daughter didn't play, Charles, but we're in that environment. We're going like, if you're coaching that team, everyone says, oh, he's coaching. No. He had to call everyone to get on that chopper. He had to say what time we're going to meet, call the other parents. Oh, by the way, we're wearing our black uniforms. It can be draining for a guy who's Kobe Bryant, but he took the challenge and said, no, I'm going to be, my Mamba mentality makes me a dad first, and I'm going to show you how to be a dad. I'm going to be just as aggressive as being a dad. And that was the transition that I never said until even now. I was like, I'm admiring in this dude, like his transition into fatherhood. Yeah. And, you know, and just being retired. And it just hurts. And that's what we all can relate to, what he was doing and why he was doing it. And it hurts.
Charles, how have you processed this?
It's been difficult. This is my first public speaking.
I saw the statement you released.
I released a statement. I turned down every interview because, Ernie, the truth of the matter, I didn't know what to say. And I did not know what to say. I saw what LeBron did, and I was like, I needed some time to process. Like, you know, people started calling right away. And I was like, I don't know what to say. I'm not going to say anything because I needed some time, because what happened for me was, Ernie, I was in the movies. I went to saw the movie The Gentleman. It started around 11:30. You know, they show a bunch of previews. I get out. I'll never take my phone to the theater. I get out. I turn it over. 75 missed calls, 100 text messages. I'm like, oh, that must have been a big trade in the NBA. Then I start clicking, and I see died, killed. And I said, oh, something really bad has happened. And then I clicked to CNN, and I just started crying. I'm not gonna lie. I just started crying. And I don't even have that type of relationship with Kobe, but he was part of the basketball fabric of my 16 years in the NBA, my 19 years on TNT. Like, he was like one of my kids. And I just felt pain. I did. I just felt pain. I cried, and I was like, let me gather myself. And I said, okay, I'm not going to do any interviews because I don't know what to say. Because there's nothing, I just said, man, just shut the hell up. Don't say anything. And I took the whole time off, and I said, then I talked to you, I talked to Shaq, I talked to Kenny. Candace Parker, a sweet lady, sent me a nice text. And then I started getting texts from people saying, man, I feel for you. Because they knew, I don't even know how they knew it, but they knew I was in pain.
I mean, because, like I say, Kobe, you know, one thing about our business, Shaq, people want to know, what's Dwayne Wade like? I'm like, you know, when they saw us shooting commercials, he's a great guy. Great guy. Him and Gabby are fun to be around. They want to know about, you know, everybody says, what about Kobe? I says, I don't know Kobe. Kobe always walks up to me and says, hey, Charles, how you doing? Hope everything's good. And he keeps moving. And that's happened probably 30, 40 times, but I didn't know him, but he was always cordial and friendly. But I'm not going to get on TV and act like we hung out and had dinner and we were good friends. I leave that to Shaq and D. Wade. Kenny talked about it earlier. And then the second thing, I sit there and watch TV for like 5 hours, and then because I heard the thing about Rick Fox, like Shaq said, I'm like, oh my God, because Rick been working with us. And then I started thinking, because, you know, for like X amount of hours, they said it was only 5 people.
And then it was 9.
Then it was 9. Then I started thinking, man, because the one thing I hate about the media, and I know they got a job to do, and we're part of the media, I hate when they do the Kobe Bryant and others, because those are actually real people. And my first concern, man, I just, when I released my statement, I said, please don't forget these other 7 people. I know Kobe and Gigi are part of our basketball family, but there's 7 people. You know, I know it was a mom and dad and a daughter. Yeah. A mom who had 3 young kids and a husband at home, and a couple more people. And I just felt bad for everybody. Yeah. And it hurt, man. I just felt pain, and then I started thinking, like, man, Vanessa, those girls, and then you know, and I made a mistake too. When I released my statement, I should have acknowledged. I don't get in anybody's personal business, but I should have acknowledged his parents. That was a screw up on my part. I've known Joe Bryant from my days of playing in Philadelphia. I should have acknowledged his mother and father, because I know they're in pain also. But I just, man, I feel so bad for everybody who lost somebody, and I just feel bad. I put it like this. I says, people say, how you feel? I said, I just feel sad. That's all I can say.
Let me put mine, a couple of things, because my mind has been racing and things have been bouncing around in there in the last 48 hours, and one of those things is what now for those families that were shattered. And this is a time when faith and friends and family come together, and at that intersection is where you find hope, and it's where you find this peace that that surpasses understanding. And you know who I was thinking about this week as this was happening was Monty Williams. Because a few years ago, Monty Williams tragically lost his wife in an auto accident. And we remember watching Monty Williams eulogize his wife, and his courage and his calm and his poise. This is a man with a strong faith foundation who said, we will get through this. And I pray that those elements, that faith, that are in large supply for these folks who are dealing with this now and these families that have been shattered. And look, on our show, we talk about a lot of things, and we all have different musical tastes. And when I say I listen to the Avett Brothers, Kenny always looks at me and says, who are you talking about? But they have a song called No Hard Feelings. And this is going to kind of go back to what Shaquille said. And it deals with when you get to the end, and none of us know the hour or the day, but when you get to the end, how will your relationships be? And so, how will you, is there somebody out there you need to talk to write things? And that's the lesson I'm taking away from this, one of the lessons. Make those things right. Make that phone call you've been putting off. Humble yourself to say to somebody, hey, I want this fixed. I don't want this lingering. Because we don't know the hour. We don't know the day. And the whole thing is just so sad. Charles, you made mention of it, and we've talked about all of those who were victims on that tragic afternoon. In addition to Kobe and Gianna, John Altobelli was a college baseball coach here on the West Coast. He and his wife Carrie and their daughter Alyssa all died in that helicopter. Alyssa was a teammate of Gianna. I think about Alexis Altobelli and JJ Altobelli, brother and sister, who lost a sister and their parents.
Wow.
Christina Mauser is an assistant coach on that Mamba team. Saw her husband Matt speaking the other day. Sarah Chester and her daughter Peyton, another teenage player. And Peyton's brother Riley, dealing with this now. And Era Zabayan, who was at the controls, who was the guy Kobe wanted at the controls when he commuted in that helicopter. It's just so sad. We'll be back.
You leave it to me. I'll get your taxes in an okay place.
What?
Well, just as soon as my audit is over, this gets my undivided attention.
Take a lot of trips to the islands, Phil.
Pretty great, right? Oh, Phil's legally dead. Fell off a boat. Going by Dennis now. Solari. Long story. What do we got? Oh, no. You're not going to want to see this.
I don't think this is going to work.
Just okay is not okay. AT&T has America's best network, now with our best plans at our best prices, starting at $35 a month per line for 4 lines. New from AT&T.
It's hard to put into words what he meant for this city. He meant so much to so many different people. You know, he had his whole life still ahead of him. We'll never know the true potential that he would have had. But I want to thank Kobe for everything. Rest in peace. Rest in peace, Gigi. Everyone that was in that helicopter, rest in peace.
It's just heartbreaking that he's not here anymore. You know, he taught us if you had the work ethic, if you had the drive, you could do whatever you want. What keeps us going is that we still gotta have that Mamba mentality. We still gotta have that drive every single day to achieve what we want to do, and that's what's gonna make him proud. That's the only way we can honor him.
There's been years that, you know, I've cheered against him as a Raptor fan, but as, you know, someone that's watched him over the years, you respect how hard he's worked, and this guy's worked the last 3-4 years at being a family man, a father, you know, an older brother to all these NBA players. Everybody's hurt today.
I'm from the East Coast, from Maryland, and I just fell in love with Kobe when I saw him get drafted. I was excited, me personally. I named my daughter Kobe. After we heard the news, she just wanted me to definitely come down here with her and see what was going on and be a part of this. So it was a pretty serious, sad situation.
Kobe was a childhood hero for us. That Mamba mentality took over, and it showed us that we're stronger than anything, and we can conquer anything as long as you put your will to it. I mean, rest in peace to everybody. It was not just Kobe, it was his baby, it was everyone that was on board.
Just so hard and so tragic just to imagine those last moments that they had together. You know, father-daughter. You know, it's really difficult to think about, but as an emotional person, you get emotionally connected to these artists, to these athletes, and it's something that, you know, even though you didn't know them personally, it does impact your life. The world is mourning right now, and we're so grateful and happy that we can be here and celebrate his life, really, because that's what this is, a celebration of life and of his legacy.
We welcome you back as you get a look outside Staples Center at the memorials that have been made by fans of Kobe Bryant and the Los Angeles Lakers and So many people are signing those boards, they're having to replace them and get more room for folks to sign. And you'll see the 24 and the 8 wherever you look on the streets of Los Angeles. Back inside Staples Center, where again the game tonight between the Clippers and the Lakers postponed as the Lakers deal with this tragic loss. Reggie Miller joins us now. So does Jerry West. More than 40 years with the Lakers, now an advisor with the Clippers, and the man who on that memorable night in 1996 made a deal with the Charlotte Hornets to get Kobe Bryant in a Laker uniform. Jerry, I want to know what you saw in those, was it 2 workouts you saw of this teenage kid, Kobe Bryant, and what knocked your socks off?
Well, excuse me. Sorry.
Totally understandable, Jerry.
You know, it wasn't like this was some great discovery because people knew who he was. At that time, it wasn't in vogue to date 17-year-old kids. Agent Arn Tellman and I have been longtime friends, and he said, he wants to come and work out with some of these players that were going to be higher taken in a draft, everyone thought. And he goes there, and I watched this, 17 years old, and I said to myself, this is ridiculous. These kids don't even belong here. And they were 3-4 years in college. And I said, this is a waste because I hope we don't have to draft one of those guys. When the process is a young man sitting beside me here that also figured into this plan. And so again, Kobe Bryant, through his agent, they were trying to direct him here to us. And our big prize, the showcase of our franchise, was going to be Shaquille O'Neal. If we could convince him to come here. At that point in time, you could not communicate because of leagues in negotiation with the players and this lockout. So Kobe wanted to come back again and work out for us, and so Arn called me and said he's in town here and he wants to work out. So I brought Michael Cooper in, and I think some of you people know who Michael Cooper is, one of the great defenders we've had in our league. And so we wanted him to play around with Kobe Bryant and see what it looked like. Well, after 10 minutes, I said, stop this, okay? He was embarrassing Michael, and I told Michael, I said, man, you retired soon enough. And that was the genesis of it. But spent countless days trying to trade our starting center, Vlade Divac, to create space so hopefully we could attract Shaquille. And Shaquille and I never met in person. And we developed a relationship over the phone, which was very honest. And that's the only thing I believe in when you're dealing with players. You cannot ever lie to a player. Never. And finally one day, the late Jerry Buss, we only had 2 or 3 people working for us at that point in time. And I told Shaquille, and I really remember this, I said, Shaquille, we just drafted a kid who's the best player in the draft. And I said, I know you got a lot of good players down in Orlando, but I said, we have better players here, and we have one that's going to be the best player in the league one day. Pretty bold statement to make, but to me it was obvious. Charles watching you, Dwayne watching you, Reggie watching you, Shaquille watching you, it was easy to identify. And so this process went on, and all of a sudden, our dream came true. We got Shaquille O'Neal, we got Kobe Bryant. But I think the thing that probably is hardest for me is the times I spent with him when he was 17 years old at my house, constantly wanting me to go to the gym, watching him play in the summer league, and everyone was excited to see a young kid like that.
And he's having dinner at your table on nights too.
Yes, and having dinner at my house. My son Ryan was his first best friend in town, who worked for the Lakers for a number of years. Drove him around, and to watch this relationship, but he was uniquely different. Let me tell you why he was different. He always talked about this Mamba mentality. He didn't have to create that. It was already there. And to watch him search out information, to watch him want to find some way to get better every year. And I spent 4 years of my life watching this. And I made a trade with the Miami Heat. I traded Eddie Jones, who was an all-star player. The reason why, Kobe Bryant needed to start. I was kind of vilified about it, but best thing that ever happened. But I think the thing that resonates with me the most is his incredible career. This is a sad city right now. One person with one name, Kobe. You don't even have to mention his last name. And to see the pictures of him with his daughters, sitting at games, hugging them, to get a Christmas card from them every year, and to watch this incredible family grow and prosper. And now to see not one, but two, but three families gone. Saddest day of my life. I lost a brother in Korea, and it's the only thing that compares to this, to me. I don't want to ramble on very much, but I had a special relationship with him. No one knows the intimate talks I had with him. No one knows, even people who are close to him, they don't know the conversations I had with him. They don't know the conversations I had with him in Memphis when I was working in Memphis. We still communicated. And I remember when he was going to leave the Lakers, and I've never really mentioned this to anyone. He was going to come and sign with the Clippers, who I'm now involved with as a consultant. And I told him, Kobe, under no circumstances can you do this. And he was mad at everyone at the Lakers, the owner, everyone else. I said, Kobe, you can't go play with the Clippers. You can't play for that owner, period. We had 2 conversations about it. And he supposedly made a commitment to the Clippers, and after the last one we talked last time. But there's so many things that we talked about as he was just seeking information. And his parents were with him for a while. And honestly, I felt like he's father for 2 years. I don't know if I can get over this. I really don't.
I can remember during the Olympics when negotiation was going on. First time I met Mr. West. My agent, Len Armano, says, Mr. West wants to see you. Mr. West was smooth, Kenny, when I got up there. He said, I got some good news and I got some bad news. And I said, okay, what's the bad news? He said, I can't get you the 150 you've been asking for. I said, what's the good news? He said, I can get you the 120. I said, where's the pen? And as soon as I get ready to sign, I'm telling you now, I got this young kid, and he just kept saying it. I got this, like, you know me, D, I'm trying to get to the paperwork, trying to get the deal done. He's like, I got this young kid, Kobe. I'm like, okay, Mr. West. And he was that type of guy. I remember the first time I met him, because I'm the elder statesman on the team. And, he was my rook. And I asked him, what do you want to be known for? And I asked him that question because when I first got here, Mr. West sat me down in the forum and said, Shaq, I know you got a lot going on. I know you're a rapper. I know you and party and do all that stuff. And he pointed up. He said, at the end of this, You can be up there with those guys, or you can just be just another talked about story. So now when Kobe came, I kind of sat him down and said, what do you want to be? And at 17, he said, I'm going to be the best player in the world, and off the court, I'm going to be bigger than Will Smith. Now, you know me, I'm like, okay, all right. Slow down. And, you know, it was fun. And as I said earlier, our names will always be linked. You know, we talk about who's this and who's that, but I truly believe that we will be the most dominant, big, little 1-2 punch ever. That's just my belief. I know a lot of people, and Kenny, you like to break it down like it should be broken down by eras. But, you know, it was a sad day for me the other day, and look, I still can't believe it. And to just hear his voice, and like I'm not a big internet guy. I think I watch every Kobe Shaq video anybody ever put up. I watched the Portland Game 7 where he threw me the lob right there. I watched the game where he shot the air balls and I grabbed him. I watched the game versus Indiana where I messed up and got in foul trouble. And on the bench he said, don't worry about it, I got it. Because I know if we go down to Pacers, it's going to be a different series. He told me, don't worry about it, I got it. Said that.
Yeah. You remember that, don't you, Reggie?
Unfortunately, yes. I'm not going to lie, this is, we're in the middle of a shake moment, right? We're all shook. And these emotions, these tears, they're real. And in my lifetime, there's only so many shake moments. I mean, I remember when Lady Di passed away. I remember where I was at and how I felt. I remember when Michael Jackson passed away. Right now, with Kobe, we are all shook because, like those other, they came to us at a young age and we opened up our homes, our lives. Kobe came to us at 17, here to Los Angeles. And I'm with Mr. West because I go down this family tree with Kobe. I felt I helped raise this young man because Arn was my agent as well. And I was the elder statesman of the firm. And Arn called me up and was like, you know, do you mind talking to this young kid? You know, we're going to sign Kobe and kind of give him and show him what the NBA is all about and how to conduct yourself. I'm like, okay, yeah, sure, I'll talk to this kid. Well, a conversation turned into text messages and phone calls every day. Because, like you said, he was gathering information. And we all know he wanted to be bigger than life. And at that time, that person bigger than life, and still is Michael Jordan. And MJ and I were in the middle of our heated moments. Charles and Kenny, they know this because we were all in the middle of it, trying to take down MJ. And I didn't have a very strong relationship with MJ. But Kobe wanted to know what was all the intricate talking and trash talking and moves that were going on between MJ and I. And I'm thinking to myself, what does this young 17-year, what does this kid want to know about all this MJ talk for? There's only one black cat, you know, because I referred to call Michael Jordan or Jordan. I always called him the black cat. It's like the black cat was, you know, we were doing this and I'm talking to Kobe and he was so quiet on the phone. And I'm like, Kobe. He's like, you know what? You're going to refer to me as the caramel cat. I'm thinking, this young 17-year-old, I'm talking about the greatest ever. He says, you're going to refer to me as the caramel cat. And I thought about it. I'm like, fast forward 2 or 3 years later, we had no answer for that cat. Zero. But we had no answer for number 8 and 24. Because we felt it was 2-1, and then game 4 that you mentioned, you fouled out. I'm thinking, you already had 50 and 25. Great. We're going to tie this series up, because back then it was 2-3-2. We can tie it up and then win game 3. All we got to do come back here is win 1. This dude, that's why I want to celebrate him. Because we have the memories. This is his house. We have the videos. We have the pictures. But more importantly, we have the memories to celebrate him, his daughter, the other 7 that were lost on that helicopter. To me, it's tough because I'm broken. I really am broken. Because when you see someone as a kid, Kobe is still a kid to me. I'm going to celebrate his life. Their lives. Because we all know, when you talk about the Mamba mentality, he wanted to outwork you, right? I'm going to outwork people. I'm going to continue to work and celebrate him. Because I think that's what he would want.
Mr. West, one last thing, in kind of a lighthearted note. I didn't see him very much, and obviously players, even though all you guys, Dwayne, I know you a little bit, certainly know those 2 gentlemen a lot more. Reggie, see you a lot more. Kenny, see you a lot more. But, this Black Mamba, and I saw him at an event here at the Forum, and I said, Kobe, I said, do you know that the mongoose kills the Black Mamba every time? He looked at me and he says, not this Black Mamba. It's one of the funniest things I've ever heard him say. But, like all of us, there's so many incredible memories. He brought a joy to this city. He brought people together. And I think the things he did with women, how he got women empowered, he was going to be just as successful, off the court as he was on the court. But I think the thing that, for all of us who had time to spend with him when he was so young, that's what makes it so hard for me.
I just want to say this, because Ernest said something earlier about letting the people know how you feel about them. I just want to say this about you, Mr. West. I've been in the NBA since 1984. You have been one of the most amazing men. I'm not talking about as a basketball player. I'm not talking about as a logo. I'm not talking about as an executive. You have been the nicest man I may have ever met in NBA history with all your accomplishment. And I want to thank you. While we're both still here, I just want to thank you for being one of the greatest men. Amen. Everybody know you were a great player. I just want to thank you for being one of the greatest men. And you making me feel bad for you. Because the pain you are feeling, out of all the accolades and all the things you've accomplished in your life, to see you in pain, it makes me in pain. And I just want to take the time to tell you, hey, because Kobe said something earlier in that little thing Ernie played. There's not a single Ernie's probably the only one. None of us are here without that little stupid little ball. None of us, I don't think any of us ever had a real job. I mean, and it's only when Kobe said that, I tell people, I agree with Kobe. Man, I love basketball. I'm 56 years old. I've never had a real job. I'm the luckiest, most blessed person in the world. All of us are, because of stupid little ball. And this man who we're honoring honoring. It was an honor to watch him play. Like I said, I didn't know him very well. The times I met him, he was always cordial. But it was an honor and privilege to watch him play basketball. And I'm glad we'll celebrate.
People need to understand, it's okay to feel like this.
Yeah.
The tears that you see from us, from grown men, it's okay to cry.
Yes.
You know, I want people at home to understand that because, again, broken. And he and I had a very contentious relationship. That does not matter at the end of the day. I could care less.
We're celebrating.
Celebrating.
And again, like you said, Reg, and Charles, like, I want to thank Shaq and Mr. West because I really don't know how you guys are doing it. I really don't. And because if I could feel a way that I'm feeling, I can only imagine. I appreciate your comments
Can I
and being
say
here.
something? I got to tell you this, Ernie. I'm not even sure. Like I say, we don't even know Kobe that well. But when I got that text message, I started crying.
Right.
And I'm like, dude, you're crying about a guy who you don't know that well. I understand why these three guys, because they knew Kobe well. But I actually felt like I lost a part of my family.
And I tell you, Charles, because we all saw him in us.
Yes.
We saw
opened up our homes to this kid.
In this regard, you know, I talked to Mark Jackson about this, and I said, we talking about Kobe, and I said, you know why everyone respected this guy? Because I know a lot of guys. D. Wade, I hear about the stories of you working out. I know, Reggie, how hard you work out. But the greats wouldn't sacrifice what he did to be great. So the great players would look at it and go, I don't know if I do that to be that great. So we all, the top 300 people in the world at what you do, were in awe that he would give up so much to be greater when you're already great. So that's what we see in him. And then again, I didn't think, when I told you the first thing I thought of him as a dad, and I was like, I know what he's given up to be a coach on a Sunday afternoon for not just his daughter, but for 10 other girls. And that is where we see the Mamba in us. Yeah. And we're like, that's what we aspire. We want to be greater than and be the detail, like the stories, the detail that he has.
Dwayne, we hear the stories and from you, Jerry, about his desire to learn and to soak in this knowledge and ask everybody, what's this like, what's this like? But I think the great thing about that is that it was not a selfish thing because he was more than willing to take a younger player in the league and work out with him and say, this is what it takes.
One of my favorite Kobe moments, it was on the 2009 championship run against Boston. And I'm sitting in Prime 112 in Miami, out of the playoffs, watching on TV, watching other games going on. I mean, other things going on, and I get a call from this unknown number, and it keeps calling me and calling me. So eventually I answer it, and it's Kobe on the phone. I run outside immediately because Kobe's calling me, and he said, hey, Boston's guarding me this way on the pick and roll. What should I do? He said, you're the best at pick and rolls in this game. I watched your series versus them. How should I attack them when they blitz me? How should I attack them when they hedge? How should I attack them when they playing soft? And this is one of the greatest players to ever play, and he's reaching out to me, a younger player, asking me, how do I attack these pick and rolls? And I'm sitting there waiting the next game, and I'm hoping that he do one of the things I said, and to watch him dominate that series after that, I felt like he let me be a part of it. Like I felt a part of that championship,
And just so everybody here on the panel knows, we've got about 2.5 minutes left before we have to go to basketball tonight with the game in Miami. So, no, please, Jerry, please.
First of all, I think every player who played for the Lakers, hopefully they think they were never underpaid, because if I was involved, if it was $50,000 that time, which was a lot of money, they were going to get it. It's not. It's unfair to treat players who commit themselves and who are so dedicated. And secondly, I cared about all the players. But for some reason, I had two special relationships, Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal. There's not a day when you guys are not on that I watch because of all of you and because you're the ringmaster of these clowns, okay? And I just love this man. Both of them were real. He's real in a different way. And Kobe was like this super intellectual person that people don't give players, basketball players, credit for being smart. And if you watch the game and know the nuances of the game, they're so much damn smarter than the average person. They're gifted. They're always a play ahead. And the last thing I will say on a fun note, if you have a ball, if you throw it to a dog, what does it do? It chases it, right? We have all chased the basketball all our life, and he did it also.
You know, Jerry, let me say this too, as the only guy on this panel who watched you play. Because my dad used to take me to Atlanta Hawks games when they played at old Georgia Tech.
Wow.
On a floor that was as hard as cement, from what all the players tell me. But I watched you, and I watched Wilt, and I watched Elgin Baylor. And it's what made me a basketball fan. And it's what makes me feel so honored to sit with this bunch on a nightly basis and to hear your memories and yours. And in the time we've got remaining, which is not much, about a minute, Shaq, you have the last word on your old teammate.
I just want to say thank you, Mr. West, for bringing me here, for putting us together. Thank you for always getting on me when I messed up. I love you for that. I have one little brother. His name is Jamal. And a couple of days ago, I now know what it feels like to lose a brother. And when you're a big brother, I don't know if you guys have little brothers, you're going to have times where things don't go smooth, but the respect is always there. I remember going with the Miami Heat saying, okay, I don't want any problems with D-Wade. I remember one time I had to jump on him during the finals when I was playing terrible and I was getting double teamed and D-Wade was being nice, trying to throw it to me. I called him in the room and said, hey man, what you gonna do? I ain't got it no more. What you gonna do? And he took over. So, you know, I've been looking on the internet and people like to talk about the relationship. I'm here to set it straight. It was a big brother relationship, little brother. I have a little brother in real life. We argue all the time. I have an older brother in Charles Barkley. We argue all the time, but the respect was there. And if you don't believe the respect was there, after I won my first championship, who's the first guy to jump in arms? When the guy twists his ankles in the finals and couldn't walk, who was the guy that carried him down the hall? So, you know, from now on, I don't want to hear about the beef that y'all thought we had. This man knows our true relationship. We practiced, we played together. When we stepped inside the lines, we wanted to win. We both wanted to win. And, you know, like I said, I have a little brother. He's 40-something. For 40 years, it ain't ever been all cookies and creams. Every now and then it's been grits and pork chops. But you love them, you respect them, and
that don't go together.
That's my point. That's my point.
Try me, it goes together.
In Milton, New Jersey, it does. But so, Mr. West, I just want to say thank you, and I appreciate you. And again, my condolences to Vanessa and the lovely daughters, Mama and Papa Bryant. Kobe had two sisters that were very beautiful, and you know, our heart goes out. But I'm with you, Reggie. It's time for us to celebrate this man. He was already celebrated, but you know, knowing Kobe like me and Mr. West know Kobe, you know, he don't have time to stop and slow down. Right. He said keep it going. Yeah,
Gentlemen,
keep it moving.
Thank you for sharing from right here. Thanks for holding nothing back. And I hope we never have to do a show like this again. But you're very gracious, Mr. West, to be here. And we wish you the best. And the Laker And we wish the best to the Laker organization, too, as they deal with this. And this was, the more we stand here, the more we sit here, the more we realize that was a good decision.
Ernie?
It'd be very hard to play a game tonight.
You're right, Ernie. And also, man, like I say, I want to give my best to Kobe's parents. And
here in Los Angeles, where a memorial has been set up and continues to grow outside Staples Center. A constant stream of basketball fans and Kobe Bryant fans making their way to that area, and they keep on filling up those huge boards that you can sign in memory of Kobe. The game with the Clippers tonight was scheduled to be the second game of our doubleheader here on TNT. It was postponed as the Lakers continue to grieve the loss of number 8 and number 24. And you see tonight, game one of our only game tonight on TNT in Miami. On the shoes, remembrances of Kobe Bryant. As we welcome you to the American Express Halftime Report. Ernie Johnson here, Shaq's here, the usual cast, Kenny, Charles, D. Wade with us tonight. We welcome Candace Parker and Steve Nash, as really this is a continuation of what we did in our pregame show, which was frankly draining for all of us, just because so many emotions were just laid bare. From this guy to Jerry West, the man who made the draft night deal to get Kobe Bryant at 17. It was powerful stuff. I've never been part of a show like that. Thanks for spending time with us here. We appreciate it, Candace and Steve. I'm going to start with you, Candace, because I know you guys met double-digit years ago, and over the last several years, your relationship has become tighter because he has been such a supporter of the WNBA.
You know, the NBA had Kobe for 20 years, and we like to think that the WNBA, he embraced it for the last 4 at least. He came to more Sparks games the last couple years. A lot more. You could see him sitting courtside with his daughter, with his family. And I think I met Kobe in 2008 at the Beijing Olympics. And the first time I met his daughters, he walked up to me and was like, "You see these 2 girls? They're going to break all your records one day." And that was just the competitive spirit that he always had. And you know, we show up to practice as the women, Olympic team, and the guys sometimes had practice and sometimes didn't, but guaranteed every single time before we practice, he was out on the court getting up shots in a full sweat. And I mean, that was just a testament to his work ethic. And in 2008, I was fortunate enough to be drafted to the Sparks. And I came here to the building where Kobe and Shaq built in Staples Center, and it was right before his second run of championships. And I just saw him be a leader. And I always heard this phrase that, bosses push, but leaders pull. And he just demonstrated all of that. He got to where he wanted his teams to be, and he just pulled them there. And that was kind of the way that our relationship developed. In 2008, we made the playoffs, and I was in practice, and I get out and I have this crazy voicemail, and I listen to it, and it's, good luck. It's from Kobe. He's like, "Good luck in the playoffs. You're going to do your thing." And then at the end, he's like, "And when the symphony plays and the maestro comes in and the lights shine and they point at you, it's your time to come in and you're solo, and you'll know it because you've prepared for this moment." And it's only Kobe would say and describe it in that way and in that fashion. And it's just like, what to do and what he's going to say, but Kobe just says it best.
Right.
And I mean, that's who he was.
Steve, was it, I never want to be presumptuous when I ask this question, because you faced him for so long and then you were his teammate for the last 2 years of your career. But sometimes a competitor loves to go up against a guy like that. But what was more fun, being his teammate or going up against him?
Well, it was a thrill to be his teammate. But, if I look back and remember Kobe, I'm going to think about the competition. And that was special for me in my career to face the ultimate competitor, one of the greatest players to ever play the game. We go way back. We were in the same draft class. He was 18, straight out of high school. I was a graduate of Santa Clara. We could not have been more different. He's the brashest, most electrifying 18-year-old I've ever seen in my life. And I was nervous, insecure, anxious, trying to make a name for myself. And as the story goes, we played our whole careers in the West. We played each other 3 times in the playoffs, had some epic battles. Weren't always friends. We're lucky to be teammates. Probably hated each other at times, but through it all had a tremendous amount of respect for each other. And I remember after we beat him in, I think, 06 in the playoffs, we were at a Nike shoot together, and he came to me and he said, "How do you trust your teammates?" And I thought, inside, I thought, first of all, that's a sign of respect. And I thought to myself, with a smile, well, I have to trust my teammates because I ain't anywhere near the player you are. So for me, I need the whole pie. You can decide it's time and decide the game. But when I walked away from the conversation, I have to admit, was he Jedi mind tricking me, or was he telling me, just so we're clear on the ledger, you had a better team? Right. I love this about Kobe Bryant. I love this about Kobe Bryant. And all the things that made us different, I admired about him, I loved and hated, and will remember forever and cherish. And to watch him become this incredible father, to watch him become this person so generous with his time to many, many people, but especially young NBA players. I thought, man, this guy's going to have an incredible impact for the rest of the time. And sadly, now I realize his greatest impact is how he brought the world together, how many people he touched across this planet, not just here in Laker Nation, but around the world, in many countries, many languages. He was so, so important and lifted so many people up. And he's just a one-off, and we'll miss him.
It's interesting how intelligent, Jerry West was talking about it earlier. He obviously was fluent in Italian. And then I actually happened to be watching television. He's given Luka Doncic a little stuff in Slovenian. And I was like, that dude right there is a Renaissance man. When you take the time to learn different languages, that's pretty special. I mean, obviously he grew up in Italy, so that's different, but to take the time to come to a Laker game, bring his daughter, because I think she wants to take a picture with Luka. It's a beautiful picture too. But to take the time, let me learn a little bit of Slovenian. Nobody says that.
Yeah, you're the last guy I ever heard say that, as a matter of fact. D-Wade, what made him special?
I think it was, I know it was his way with people. Kobe had this ability to make you feel like you was the only person in the room when he talked to you. I think, one of my favorite things about Kobe was the way that he made my kids feel. Whenever they come around, the way that he made Zaire feel. And one of my favorite moments is All-Star Weekend, his last All-Star. My son is on the court rebounding for us, and Kobe says, "Zaire, come down here." And Zaire looks at me and he's like nervous, like, should I go? And I said, well, you better go get your Kobe moment, but he took that time, and every time he's seen Zaire, he took that time. And all of us sitting up here as kids, we know how important it is for someone they admire to take a moment to make them feel special. And he did that every time, and that's my favorite part about Kobe.
Yeah, I would agree with that. The only post I put on him is my son Malloy was screaming his name at the All-Star game. He's just screaming, and he looks up, and I got it on video, and Kobe thumbs up to him, and he just breaks out in a smile. And then, you start thinking about obviously you guys as teammates had different things, but, there's 2 other moments that just stood out for me. The first basketball camp that my son KJ went to was Kobe Bryant's camp at LMU. He never went to a basketball camp. I wouldn't send him overnight anywhere else, but I sent him to Kobe's camp.
Yeah.
That was the first. And then the biggest memory is Hurricane Katrina. We were all horrific things that happened, Hurricane Katrina. And I called at the time David Levy, who was running Turner, and I said, hey, I want to do something. He says, I want to do a basketball game. It was Monday. He said, we want you to do it. I want to do it Friday. He's like, you can't do that, Kenny. He said, who do you have? And so I hung up the phone and I stopped and I said, if I call Kobe and I get him, I'll get everybody. So I called his agent at the time, Rob, and I said, they put me on a three-way with him. I said, listen, I'm doing this game and I'm explaining to her, he's like, I'm watching what's going on. She said, what do you need? I said, I need you to play. He said, who do you have? I said, you're the first. If I get you, I got everybody. And he said, I'm in. He said, you need me to do like an interview to let everybody know I'm playing? I said, no, I'm going to announce it, but I'm going to need you to do interviews. And from then, I called Kevin Garnett, and I got 26 players in less than 24 hours because Kobe Bryant said yes.
And your first line was, hey, I got Kobe's coming.
That was it. That was my first line. I got Kobe.
What's going to be really cool, it's going to be interesting. I'm going to be happy and sad because I live in Philadelphia during the summer. I used to live in Lower Merion.
Really?
So I passed his high school and his gym every day, several times a day. And for the last 30 years, every time I went back to drove by, the first time I said, Kobe Bryant, Kobe Bryant. And now it's going to have a different meaning. It's going to have a different meaning. I'm going to be glad to think about Kobe because it brings, and that's the thing we talk about, he always brings great memories.
So he was your rookie?
Yes.
So did you put him through rookie treatment?
No, Jerry West wouldn't allow it. Jerry was like, this kid's going to be special. Leave him alone. So we did. And I was around the time where hazing was outlawed anyway, so weren't really allowed to do anything. And he was different, but he was very motivated, very different. My favorite Kobe moment, I have a million of them, but Phoenix All-Star game. I was a reserve on the All-Star, and me and him got in the game together, and we were playing. I'm like, damn, this feels like the old days. So at the end, when they co-announced the MVP, my boys are there with me. I'm older, Kobe's league. I figured he'd take the trophy. He looks at Sharif, Miles, my two youngest sons, and he gives him the trophy. I'm like, no, Kobe, don't worry about it. He said, no, I'll get mine later. And then I knew then that all the stuff that we had been through, we got to erase it. And our relationship started getting better for them. And I got to thank TNT for putting that conversation that we had together.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
I thought that was important when it happened.
Yeah, it was. It was very important.
It was on NBA TV, correct? And you sat down and really cleared any air that needed clearing that night.
And he always looked out for my babies, like every time. Pictures. And it's hard, and I'm sure it was hard for my dad because my dad asked me one day, who's your favorite player? And I said, Dr. J, you should have saw his face. So imagine me asking my kids, who's your favorite player? D-Wade, Kobe.
I do have to say this, Shaq.
And I'm like, Candace, I'm like.
You don't know, like, you're synonymous with Kobe. Like, there's not a basketball conversation that ever would happen before the tragedy that your name or his name wouldn't be in. So let's start there. But secondly, this tragedy has brought out an internal thought process about how short life is. But the other moment, when you shook Kobe's hand, I called people that I had beef with and said, I apologize because I watched you two guys come together.
But I don't know if y'all had that game, but it was on Martin Luther King.
Yes.
And you guys know me, I like marketing. So I'm gonna keep it going, you know what I'm saying, regardless, just to keep it going. But I was like, not on this day. Not on this day. I gotta shake his hand. And I shook his hand, he shook his hand. Because one thing about both of us, we say stuff, but we didn't really care. Because, sometimes you just got to get stuff off your chest. Like me and Charles, funny thing about me and Charles, when I go out, people actually really think I don't like Charles. When I'm walking through the airport, I'm like, listen, bro. And I have to explain to him, I said, listen, Me and Charles had our altercation. I get back to the thing, it's a lady on the phone. There's two ladies on the phone. It's his mom and my mom, and they had been best friends for years. I never knew that. So one day I come home and they get to playing cards and doing all that stuff. They had the similar type relationship. Like two sisters but it's, like talking. And so, people ask me, I said, yes, I love Charles. Charles, my older brother, we fight and we argue, but the respect is always going to be there. We will never cross the line. I know I always say, I'm going to, punch you in your face and do that,
but in fairness, I was on top punching you.
But the Lakers said it's just too early to play a game after what happened Sunday. And we welcome you to Inside the NBA. It's presented by Kia. What has been an emotional day, and one unlike any I've experienced in 30 years in this chair. And one of those reasons was Jerry West. You're going to hear a bit of what he had to say in just a second. Meantime, with Shaquille O'Neal and Kenny the Jet Smith and Charles Barkley and D. Wade, we watched tonight. 8 other games were played, and as you would expect, there were tributes aplenty. In Philadelphia,
that's got to be
Lower Merion number in Jersey, yeah. Joel Embiid wore number 24 tonight,
I love that.
and he scored 24 points. As we've seen, Dwayne taking the 8-second violations and the 24-second violations here over the last few days.
Yeah, I love everyone's interpretation, of how they want to honor Kobe. It goes beyond the NBA. You got guys in high school and guys in junior college scoring 81 points, and everyone's doing whatever they can to honor, one of our legends, especially in this generation. Man, he meant so much to everybody, and you're getting a chance to see it.
I was just about to say that. When I was coming up, it was Dr. J, Magic, Bird. When I was playing, it was Mike's. And he's definitely the guy for this generation.
Yeah.
And you can see his impact on the game, his impact on people's lives. People just love them.
Ernie, there are a lot of great NBA players, obviously. Shaquille and Dwayne are 2 of them, but there's always somebody in a generation who carries the NBA. When I first got to the NBA, it was Magic and Larry. And those 2 guys, every time I see them, I tell them thank you, because everybody look at the NBA the way it is today. It wasn't always like this. I always say that Larry Bird and Magic Johnson saved the NBA. They're the 2 most important players in NBA history. Then Michael took over and took the torch and ran with it. Shaq had his time. Dwayne had his time. And realistically, for the last 20 years, even though Steve Nash won an MVP and Paul Pierce had a great run in the playoffs, it's been Kobe's league. And obviously now it's LeBron's league. But there's one player over a generation that the league really, he's the guy in the league. And it was an honor. I told you, I don't know Kobe Bryant that well. He was always cordial to me. Bless you.
Thank you.
He always treated me with great class, and I always look forward to seeing him. But we were not great friends. I don't want to be one of those guys that act like we were great friends. But I cried when I heard the news Saturday. Just because, one thing about sports, we all grow up together. Like the guy you started playing with as a little kid, you see him in college, you follow his career. Then if you're good enough to get to the NBA, you see each other all the time at different, obviously during the game, but you feel like you're part of a fraternity, you're part of a family. And even when Commissioner Stern died, that hurt me to my core. But this one hurt the most.
Let me ask you guys as players, if it would have been difficult to play on Sunday and Monday, or if this would have been something that inspired you to play even harder.
I think it would be inspirational later. I think my daughter, Kayla, I was talking to when it happened. She said, you always hear that saying, what's important. But this just shows, she said, Daddy, this just shows me that, like, the importance of your life making meaningful moments and not being meaningful. So you have to make meaningful moments with the people you love, because it could be all gone in one. And it also, she said, you know, it makes me kind of fearless. I'm like, what do you mean by that? She's like, because now it doesn't really matter what somebody says to me. Like, if I think that this is the right thing to do, who cares what somebody says? Because if you're doing things right, you shouldn't worry. It makes me feel, I said, that's the Mamba mentality. That's it. But it wouldn't have, I would have been shaken if to play in a game, but I would have been inspired in a day or two.
Would you have been able to play a game if you were still active in this league?
The answer is yes. Kobe would have wanted us to go on. And if I would have had the ability to be one of those special players, Charles had the ability, D-Wade had the ability, of course, I would just try to turn it on. Us special players, every now and then, I don't know what it is, I wish we could like do it more often, but we could turn it on. So it'll probably be one of those nights of just you know, I would try to, you know, let the game come to me and just, you know, catch a flow, and I would want to just do something crazy in his memory. Knowing me, I probably would have tried to score 81 or 50 or 60.
You go first.
Sunday, no. I wouldn't have been able to play Sunday, but I was talking to Coach Spo today about the team in Miami and how those guys were doing. And he said the cloud over everybody just was dark. Yeah. And I told him, I said, listen, this is the first day since I've retired that I actually wish I was in practice with you guys. I actually wish I was on the court. Yeah. I wish I was able to smile and enjoy the game that I knew that my friend enjoyed. And I would have been talking a lot of stuff. And it's just what I felt today. But Sunday, I wouldn't have been able, I couldn't get out of bed.
And I would want to play, personally, because, number one, there's so much stuff that we have to think about on the basketball court. It would give you relief. It would give the fans relief for a couple hours. Because let's get one thing straight. The Lakers play Friday. They ain't going to be no better Friday. Anybody who think like this thing going to be like, oh, 3 more days, they're going to be ready to go. I personally think, number one, the sooner you get back to your life, that's the only thing going to make it better. First of all, it's going to be, it's always going to hurt. It's never going to be easy. But like I say, the Lakers play again Friday. This thing ain't going to be better by Friday. But I would want to play. I'm just saying for myself. I would want to play basketball.
To release, that would be a good release for you.
It'll get me away, because it's going to be people crying around me, or I'm going to be watching some about it on television. I need, like, when people in my family have died.
You know they're going to do something Friday, too.
I know.
Yeah,
but it's going to still be emotional. But I'm saying, when you're at home, when somebody dies, everybody's crying. You just hug it and tell everybody you love them. And then you turn on the TV, and it's still there. But I would want to be, because, like, once this basketball game starts, you got plays, you got defensive strategies. You need to know where the double team's coming from. You need to know how to play the pick and roll. But that's just me, because I don't ever tell anybody how to grieve. But we as a basketball family, at some point, we're going to have to get back to playing basketball.
And they will. That night was not going to be this night. Mm-hmm. And earlier tonight, when we talked to Jerry West, who spent 40 years with the Laker organization, he's the logo. Now he's an advisor with the Clippers. You just got an indication that for those closest to Kobe, like Jerry West, they are absolutely devastated at this point. And Jerry West is the guy who, back in 1996, on draft night, swung the deal that allowed Kobe Bryant to go from Charlotte to the Lakers. And that was the first thing we asked him about as he sat down with us earlier. It bothers me so much, because in the wake of this tragedy on Sunday, somehow your name came out in the media. Somebody put it out there. And I don't know how that happens. And I don't know how you how you deal with that, or if you have to tell people, how do you tell the people that need to know the most this is not true?
Moment to moment. I don't wish it on anyone. This moment has been overwhelming for all of us. First and foremost, to the families that were lost. Obviously, their lives have been turned upside down. To our brother Kobe and his family, Vanessa, Natalia, Bianca, Capri, we send our prayers and condolences. My family went through, in the midst of all of this, something I couldn't have imagined them experiencing. I spent time talking to my kids for about 45 minutes as this was all happening, and our colleague Jared Greenberg brought to me the news that morning, and he asked by text if I had heard of the story, and I said, oh, the shoes that Kobe gave LeBron, and Kobe passed him last night, and he said no. He said, this is, you need to sit down. And he texted me the article, and I went into full-blown denial. And fortunately, one of my daughter's greatest fears is finding out that a parent or one of her parents would be lost through social media instead of from a loved one or a family member. And she fortunately called me, and we just were talking and crying about the news of Kobe and my son. And then we started, so we were talking. I was talking to my kids, just trying to spend the time with them, and then the phone just started going off. And I'm thinking to myself, everybody wants to talk about Kobe, and I right now want to be with my kids and my family. And then all of a sudden, my best friend King Rice, who's a basketball coach, King Kenny, North Carolina.
I'll tell you the story between King and Kenny.
Okay, he walked off the court at Iona, and somebody apparently told him that I may have been on the helicopter, and he started calling. So I'm seeing King's number, repeatedly going, and I think he's worried about me. So I said, I'm going to talk to my best friend, and I answered it, and I said, hey man, this is crazy about Kobe, and he just was bawling, and I started crying, and he was like, you're alive. And I'm thinking, well, yeah, like, what do you mean? And it was in that moment that my phone just started going, and my mom and my sister and my brother, and so look, this has been a lot to process for all of us. Quite frankly, we're blessed to have had the time we had with Kobe. A city is mourning, a family's mourning, we're all mourning, and I'm glad that's over with, but it was hard to deal with because it shook a lot of people in my life.
I know, Derek, we want to get to you, but our connection with the Tar Heel family. First, Rick, when he was a freshman, used to come to Sacramento and stay with me.
You raised me, man.
And work my basketball camps. Yeah. And so when I heard the news, Rick, I was like, man, Kobe. So you're crying, and then I'm driving home, and I get the text that Rick Fox was on the plane, on the helicopter. And I tell my dad, I'm driving with my dad, I said, I can't check because I'm driving, and it would be too much for me right now. So King Rice also used to come with Rick, and they'd stay in my house. So I called J.R. Reed, because I know he's on the staff as well. And I text him, and J.R. doesn't text me back. So now I'm super nervous. And so we're at my house, and I'm just waiting, and I'm debating what to do. And I'm telling my son, I'm like, I don't know if I should call him. And so I just text Rick. I said, just say hey. And he texts back, hey, with a broken heart in my heart. And I just screamed.
It's
the race to be first.
Yeah, that's irresponsible.
Tell the story. Yeah. You don't know what it does.
Irresponsible. It's irresponsible.
It's
that was the thing that was crazy about the whole story, because I got upset because obviously I know you more from TV working with you than playing with you and go to North Carolina. I'm like, oh my God, Rick was on the plane too. And then I watched CNN for like 6-7 hours straight, and they only had 5 people. And then you find out 5 hours later, it's 9 people. And then you find out later, Gigi's on the plane. It was one of the most excruciating times. I mean, I was already crying because of Kobe. And then I thought you were on the plane. Then you found his daughter's on the plane. Then you find out there's 4 extra people on the plane. And you're like, it was a lot, man. It was a lot.
D-Fish, what kind of perspective can you add to this?
Finding out as I was on my way to LAX to travel, started getting text messages, please don't tell me this is Kobe. And again, I'm thinking about the night before still. So I'm confused as to why somebody's texting me just saying that, and that's it. So then I get a call from my fiance, and I can hear in her voice, something's not right. So now my heart starts to really speed up. Then my brother texts me with the first media story attached to the message, and I lost it. Luckily, I was a passenger in the vehicle. So now I have to explain to my guy, Duran, who's with me tonight, like, what just happened. He loses it. My kids start calling me and asking me to come back home. Do not go to the airport and get on the airplane. They're devastated. And I get back home before I can get in front of a television. Just as a family, we're all hugging each other and saying we love each other, because you never know if that's going to be the last moment. My mom calls me, which took this to another level of pain. My mom calls me. She lives in Little Rock. She tells me the rumor is that Rick was there too. And that broke my heart. Already thinking about Kobe, learning about Rick. And then when I got home and started watching CNN, I find out it's where it happened, which is 3 exits from my house. And then I knew exactly where he was on his way to, which then, before I even heard on the news,
you knew
then I knew where he was going, and it was possible.
Because your sons and everybody in your family playing these AAU tournaments there, you knew exactly what was going on.
And it was possible that his more family with him, whether it's Gianna or Vanessa or other, like I was done. And that's what I don't want to get lost in the pain. Like, as I try to figure out the right things to focus on to help us get through it, is what he was doing for young people and young girls and women. He's not here anymore, but somehow we have to continue to find the strength to do more for other people than we would do for ourselves. Like you said earlier, Kenny, like, he didn't have to spend the time he was spending doing all of these things for young people and young girls, of course for his own daughter, but I just hate that this had to happen in order for us to appreciate the full version of Kobe Bryant, not just the athletic greatness, but like the full version of who he...
And appreciate each other.
Yeah.
I think what we've all witnessed is we all are reaching out to each other and people we haven't talked to in a while. And this moment, it shouldn't take a moment like this to make us connect. And as Shaq said earlier, to make us talk to each other more and appreciate one another. I've talked to LeBron a lot, and obviously he's tore up. And I asked him, I said, what's the message if you was in my seat, what would you say tonight? And his biggest message was, the media always tried to put myself, you, and other guys that was good at this game against Kobe. But what they don't know is that all of us were trying to do our very best to make him proud of us, to make him respect us. And all we wanted to do was win so we can be on Kobe's level. But everyone wants to put us against him, but we were just trying to make him proud of us. And that's what he meant to, once again, this generation. That's what he meant to a player such as LeBron. And we don't want that to get lost as everyone try to compare each other going forward as players. As Chuck always say, this is a fraternity. This is a brotherhood. And Kobe was the leader of this brotherhood, and we respected him as that. And, you know, this is a big loss, you know, for all of us in this entire world. He stopped the earth for a day. No one moved, no one did anything, and that's how powerful.
You know, D-Wade, I really admire, and I think, number one, I want to reiterate this. I want to give my best to other families, the other 7 families that were lost. I just want them to know they're not lost in this thing. But I got great admiration for the fans. The fans make us who we are. They are amazing. But when you, one of us guys, when you get through high school, when you get through college, when you get to the NBA, we are a fraternity, but the fraternity starts shrinking and becoming more like Derek Fisher, man. I played against him, I watched him. Same thing with Foxy, same thing with Big Fella, same thing with Kenny, same thing with you. I'm like, and really you and, just you're the youngest. I've talked about you more than I played against you. And you feel like we shot commercials together for like 6 years. I'm like, people think you are my son. They're like, he said, that's my dad. I remember the girl said it. I just thought it was a great commercial too. And just knowing these guys, and now I work with all 4 of these guys, and now 5, excuse me, and we've been together so long, you feel like, oh, I know D-Wade, I know Kenny, I know Shaq, I know Rick, I know Derek. And you get this thing like, when we at work, we got 2 networks together. And when they bring in old players, it's like a family reunion. Like guys I haven't seen in years and years, and they come in, we all hug each other like, oh, good to see you, man. I ain't see you, how you doing? And it was such a painful thing. Like I say, I don't even know Kobe like you and you guys did, but I just started crying, like, and I'm like, why are you crying? And then I'm like, he was part of my family. Even though I didn't know him well, he was like a distant relative because of basketball.
Derek, I want to take you back to 2010. So you win this series in the Western Conference Finals over Phoenix. And I'm in there to do the trophy presentation with Coop. And in the commercial break, see, Ron Artest had won Game 5 for y'all with a follow at the buzzer. So I'm thinking, okay, they're going to the finals for the first, they're going to the finals, and Ron Artest is going to the finals for the first time in his life. Craig Sager has already interviewed Kobe on the floor. So in the commercial break, I'm looking around, I said, where is Ron Artest? Ron, where are you? And then the next thing I have is a hand on me, and it's Kobe. And he says, no. I said, no, he's going to the finals for the first time in his career. I mean, Craig already talked. I said, I would love to. But Kobe knew. And I looked at Phil, and I said, Phil. He said, it's the captain. So I wound up talking to Derek Fisher, and I wound up talking to Mitch Kupchak.
Wait, you haven't told the reason why.
Because he is such a loose cannon, there was no way Kobe Bryant was going to allow any kind of a post-game thing after winning the West to go on anybody's bulletin board or have him say something about that.
Yeah.
But Phil was like, his team.
Yeah, that was the mentality, the Mamba mentality, and you know, that speaks to why he was so great, why he pushed all of us beyond what we would have been maybe if he were not a teammate. Losing to the Celtics in 08, like we had no intentions of even smiling during that interview with you that night.
Yeah.
Like it was nothing to smile about.
There weren't many
the Celtics
smiles.
had destroyed us in 08.
Yeah.
And we were going to get our crack back at them in 2010, so it was nothing to smile about. We weren't going to let Ron or anybody get on the microphone and make it seem like we're celebrating still being short of the finish line, essentially.
Right.
But that started with him. Like I got a lot of credit for leading because I would verbalize things I end up doing the interviews, but not because it all started with me. It all started with him. A lot of times I was speaking things that he didn't need to speak. He needed to do the work. Shaq needed to do the work. Chuck, D-Wade, guys that are the franchise guy, it's not their job to always have to speak to things. And that was the role that I tried to play as a teammate of his, to take a burden off of him as much as I could.
Fish, Jerry West said this earlier about he didn't have to let the world know about the Mamba mentality. It was there. He had it when he was 17.
Yeah.
We kind of had to slow him down a little bit. I remember the first time in training camp.
We tried.
Seriously. First time
We tried. We were unsuccessful.
First time in training camp, we run the 3-on-2 drill. D-Fish got the ball. I'm on one side. D-Fish, Cole's on one side. I'm on the other side. Him and Sean Rooks is 3-and-2. So D-Fish passed the ball to Kobe. Kobe throw that thing between his legs about 30 times. He did a spin move and landed up. Adele Harris. Kobe, you're going to be a great player one day. Don't ever practice that again. Next play, he did the same thing. He was like, young fella can't. I'm not, like, he just wanted to, at 17, he just wanted to be the man.
Right away.
He had no ceiling. He had no ceiling. D-Wade, what you were talking about chasing, and we were all chasing him, man, even his teammates. There was an element of just his drive that we all wanted to match and live up to. And look, this fella, Shaq and Kobe, were cut from the same cloth. Like, love of the game, love of life, passionate, driven, wanted to win at all cost, and they did it just with a different love language. Kobe's language was, he needed that drive and pain to work hard every day, constantly, and here it was. We thought we were chasing him. We think we're working out, lifting weights before the game. He's lifting weights before and after the game. You think you're beating him to the gym. He's been there from 2 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. So there was things about him that he was chasing something.
That's what he only played 1 year when he was in the league, but watching him and knowing players. Sometimes you watch players and they're arrogant because they're privileged. He was arrogant because he said, I work more than you.
Because he earned it.
I work more than you. So even though it rubbed you the wrong way, even as an opponent or even as an announcer, you couldn't say anything about it because you say, well, he is working harder than y'all. Like, where other guys have that arrogance and they feel, and it's privilege, and it's different. And so for him, that was, to me, with the separatory, he separated himself from greatness.
And every year he wanted to work on something different.
Yep.
Like, he's like, okay, last year I'm working on passing. This year I'm working on shooting the three.
Remember the year he came back, he was shooting with his left hand? He was shooting threes with his left hand. In game. Routinely.
I remember a game in Miami, we lost. And after the game, he was so pissed that when he would shoot, on the contest, D-Wade was hitting him
I tap him a little bit.
On the wrist or
just
on the forearm.
Just a little bit.
After the game that night, till 2, 3 in the morning, grabs one of our developmental coaches back out on the court in the arena and is telling them to hit him on the arm on purpose while he's shooting.
On our court.
In Miami.
I remember.
Because he wanted to try to figure out, okay, well, if the dude gonna hit me on the arm while I'm shooting, I'm gonna practice shooting while somebody's hitting me on the arm, because I'm not gonna let that beat me the next time we play against Miami.
So we seen that, right? Me and Brian dressed. We dressed, we got done doing our media. They say, come and look at this. Kobe's outside on our arena working out. So me and Brian take our clothes off, put on workout gear, and we go upstairs and start hooping. Just because I'm like, wait, he can't outwork us in our own arena. But we didn't stay as long as Kobe. We had to get out of there.
you know, D-Fish, that was the rumors, whatever that was factual, that he was very difficult to get along with early in his career. Like when y'all would go to restaurants and y'all was sitting there, he'd go to a table by himself. That was at the beginning of his career. He's a young kid trying to learn this. But I saw something later in his career where he started mentoring young guys, being more friendly to people. Did you see that?
Yeah, saw it and experienced it. Honestly, to me, the credit goes to Vanessa and the birth of their children. For me, that's where the shift started to happen, was as his girls came into this world and learning how to be a father, which we've all had to learn, and we're not perfect at it, but watching him grow in that regard, what it means to have to help someone else along, like that you can't do it by yourself. Like she needs my help, I have to learn how to help her. I saw that evolution. To me, he became a better teammate, a better person, someone that started to think of himself outside of just his own kind of bubble. During the finals in 2010, which is another thing I loved about him, and one of his worst games performance-wise, 6 out of 24 from the field. But the drive to just every possession still exhaust himself. 15 rebounds, right? Like 15 rebounds, even though he was 6 out of 24. Most dudes not going that hard if they 6 out of 24. It's just not their night. During the timeout, I whispered to him in his ear, there's nobody else I'd rather be out here with in this moment than you. Relax, let it go. Vanessa leans over, whispers something. We come out of the timeout, 66 to 64. He dribbles 2 dribbles to the right here on this court, right towards the elbow, hits a pull-up jumper. I said, we're gonna win this game now. Whatever she said that just allowed him to just free up and take a breath. And when he made that mid-range jumper, we win in the night. That's what I thought. And so to your point, Chuck, I feel like his girls
softened him.
It softened him in the right ways. Like he still was that same stubborn, obsessive dude, but he found ways to start to realize how to bring people along. Inclusive.
Same animals, different beasts.
Yes.
She would say.
Great call.
That's what
I think that all of us are fathers. I think when you have kids, you realize it's something bigger than yourself. Because we all, listen, all of us, except Ernie, he wanted to be a great TV personality, which he's still trying to attain that.
Thanks, Chuck.
Everybody dreamed of playing in the NBA. And that's all you think about. That's all you think about.
That's it.
You're like, I don't care about anything else in the world. I'm selfish. I got to get to the NBA of my life. That's my only goal in life. And then when you have a kid, which all us do, or have more kids, like you're like, oh man, basketball is just, it's what I do. It's not who I am. So I appreciate you telling me.
Rick, I'm nowhere to accept with Kobe and these stories. I never went to a dance until I was in college. I never went ice skating. I never went roller skating, all fearful that I would hurt myself and couldn't make it to the NBA. Never went skiing, but then when I had kids with Monique, London, Caleb, Malloy, KJ, I started doing things outside of I'm zip lining. Like, and I'm like, yo, no, I got a game. I'm not going to do those things, but you do things for them.
You know what I've liked about this segment as we wrap this up is that I've seen it from you and you and you and you, and I've seen it from you, Rick, and you, Derek, in this segment. I've seen you smile. And I know it's not easy to do that, but when the memories are that rich and the stories are that good, and you remember those, you can focus on those good times. And we can feel, and as we all do for all the families involved in that helicopter crash, how tragic and how absolutely stunning and sorrowful it is. But there are times when you can remember the man, through your teammate, and you can smile.
Thank you guys, though, because it wouldn't happen without this.
Yeah, this is needed.
Like, this is my first time smiling. Like, without this brotherhood right here, I wouldn't.
And I don't tell you this, guys, a lot, but from now on when I see you, I'm just going to tell you I love you, because all you guys have impacted me in some way. See, when I'm on TV talking about others, I'm really talking about you guys. Because all the stuff that went on, and we know all the real stories, it was the others that kept it. Like, y'all used to come to me, big fella, ease up. Or Kobe, like, so it was the others that really kept us together. Same thing with me and you in Miami, going through our stuff. It was Antoine and Posey, like we had to have that meeting one time. And you guys have, and Ernie, ever since you coming to my house in 1989, and we don't know when our time is up. So every time I see you guys, expect I love you and thank you for me, especially you too. Especially you, Charles, especially Ernie, ever since 1989. When you made me famous on the Army base. I appreciate God. And I love all you guys too. Every time I see you guys, I'm going to tell you I love you.
Thanks.